What's going on, people? I'm back again with another podcast. I hope everyone's fit and well. And yes, there's lots to talk about. Dyche out, Pereira in, and we're talking about the trip that me and Des are heading to Fenerbahçe away on Thursday. So if you're new to my channel, hit the like button, subscribe if you know.
Can't hear you, Dore.
Oh, you can't hear me, so it's as usual. Des can't hear me. People, massive shout out to my sponsors, Adam, Hollands Far and Wide. If you want to know more about the Nottingham-based business, the link is in the description. So before Des sorts out all his camera work, I don't know what's happening with him. Like I said to people, I've done a poll, as you know. Dyche is gone. Vitor Pereira is in. People, what's your thoughts on everything? I'm going to get Des's thoughts in a minute now. Like I said, it's been crazy. It's been crazy, hasn't it? It's been crazy, hasn't it? It is now. Here he is. Give me now.
I can, yeah.
Doing
that.
So here he is, Des Oldham. But before we do that, I said, Des, if you follow Des on all social medias, he's doing his run in Paris. So before we do all talk about the football, Des, talk about everyone so they can donate. His link is in the top of the comments. So people, please donate to Des. Like I said, Des will talk about it. And Des, go on, talk about it.
Yeah, evening, Dore. Evening, everyone. Glad to be on. Of course, I'm currently training for the Paris Marathon. I've done these things before, but again, they're never easy. And training over the winter is really tough. Literally just got back from 5 miles and changed my T-shirt. Did 15 yesterday, so really into the crux of it. So if anybody can donate, it's for Prostate Cancer UK. Obviously, it's a really important charity, which lots of people know. And of course, around football, they do a lot of awareness around men and the fact that one in 8 men get it and 1 in 4 black men get it. So it's really quite a common thing. So definitely something. If you can throw a few quid towards that link, I'd really, really appreciate it. And thanks for highlighting it, Dore.
Like I said, people, if you want, like I said, donate, the link is at the top of the comment section or in the description. So please, people, if you can. Like Des does loads of running, like say 15 miles. Bloody hell! I don't take you to Des to do 15 miles.
It was about 2 hours 40 yesterday. It was a slog in the rain. It was really hard. It was in the morning when it was sleet and snow, so it was horrible. It was hilly, but you know that there's still 8 weeks to go, so I've got a lot of time to sort of pick that up a little bit.
Bloody hell! Well, like I said, people, like I said, Des is doing his role. Make sure, like I said, I've got my sponsor as well, to Alan Hollis Far Wide, if you know more about them as well. And I don't know if everyone's seen the FA Cup draw. Mansfield have got Arsenal. Mansfield at home.
I've not seen it. I've literally just walked through the door.
Yeah, someone just put in the link. So Mansfield have got Arsenal. What a draw for Mansfield.
Is it at home or away?
Mansfield at home. Mansfield at home. So good luck to Mansfield on that. But like I said, people, there's lots to talk about. Like I said, I'm going to get Des' thoughts on what has been happening. And as you know, Des does a lot of talking, as you know. First of all, we'll go through the comments and as well with Martin. Good evening, Dore and Des. Really nervous of the season. How are you doing, Martin? I hope you are. I'm good. No, me and Des will have a little conversation about it and see how it is. Dore the Dyche fan. What do you mean, Dore the Dyche fan? I was a fan when he was a Forest manager, but now he's not. We move on. So it is what it is, man. Colin, how you doing, my friend? I hope you are. People, if you want to be like Colin, I'm Martin. Be a member to my channel. Please do. Like I said, it helps my channel a lot. So please be a member. Any little donations, as you know, me and Des are going to Turkey on Wednesday morning. So like people, anything will help support my channel. Please do. Martin says, good luck, Des. Good luck, Des, as well. Eve, good evening, Mr. Dore and Des. Hope you're both well. I'm feeling confident about the new manager. I'm feeling sad I can't come to the home game at the moment since the revision. I can't go till Sunday. That's all right, Eve. You be all good. You be all good. Wrexham got Chelsea at home. Bloody hell. That's
interesting draw then.
Interesting draws. He's on, aren't there? And there's Gary as well. Good evening, Charles. Look forward to a few days at Istanbul. Might get somewhere now. Gary, it's your round, Gary. And this guy trying to get me tipsy. So it is what it is. Right, people, like I said, please get involved of what has been happening with Nottingham Forest. Like I said, I'm going to get Des's thoughts. And first of all, before we talk about the new manager, Des, What's your thoughts on Dyche getting sacked?
I'm not entirely sure. You know, I kind of sat on the fence a little bit with it. Of course, I give my opinion out from time to time on Twitter. You know, when people either agree or disagree. It was one of those situations again, wasn't it, where something had to change. You know, something really, really had to change because it wasn't looking good. And look, the media and the press and the Dyche supporters are backing that record up of late, which on the face of it, you know, is it might come as a bit of a shock to people who don't watch it that much, but we've watched a lot recently, you know, a lot of really, really poor performances where it doesn't look like anything was changing. So I, like I say, I sat on the fence a little bit because I don't chase managers out anymore. Like you said there, you know, you support who's in the position. You know, I wanted it to work for Dyche. I like Dyche, you know, and I know everybody's picking on everything he says at the moment. I like the guy, you know, I think he talks a lot of sense and he tries to simplify the game, which I think it needs doing to some degree. I just felt, and from through some of my vocal sort of comments through my post-match reactions and things like that, and particularly after Braga, I mentioned that I felt they weren't playing for him, and it seems to be the big thing at the moment where a lot of people have now come to that conclusion. You know, I've been moaning since Graz almost that I felt like the players, some of the players, weren't trying hard enough. You know, there's the ones with the obvious talent, and I don't sort of complain too much about the starting 11. Dyche's starting 11, our starting 11, the team that most of us would pick as the starting 11, you know, and I don't need to reel that off for most people to sort of know what that would be. It come to a point where sort of changing it and the players coming in just weren't working. You know, whether it was from Dyche's point of view in terms of changing it tactically or players coming off the bench without the motivation to do particularly well. We should have wrapped that European group stage up comfortably. Some of the opposition was poor. And I know we've always had this balance this season, and Dyche learned early on from the Porto to the Bournemouth game where they won, and then we got a bit of a hiding first half at Bournemouth. I think he sort of decided from that point he's going to have to rotate it up as much as he can. But I just feel if we'd have, in some of the games where they weren't too physically demanding, if we'd have just gone out there and won them comfortably, it might have picked up the momentum of the season, you know, picked up a bit of pace. Of course, use them sparingly, but they often come on then when we was chasing games, you know, and that's not going to be an easy situation to come into either. There was times like Malmo where top players were coming off the bench when we were comfortably in front. So again, they were using it as some kind of training workout, probably to keep them ticking over. I just felt it all went a bit stale. I think that's the word, isn't it? You know, we look at the Everton performances, Leeds, Aston Villa. You know, the performance out in Braga was the worst of the worst. And but then on the flip side, you can say we played well against Palace first half, and unlucky to go in with a draw. Not unlucky, but without the handball. And Arsenal, we played okay. Man City, but that's kind of part of my problem. The Arsenal and the Man City and the Liverpool results. You know, and the performances at least, because they all weren't great results.
And Tottenham.
And where?
Tottenham at home.
Yeah, I thought Tottenham was really poor opposition, to be honest, and I think that was a little bit overhyped at the time. I just felt the Liverpool win, the City sort of glorified defeat, you know, and then the Arsenal game. It felt like some of these top players were putting themselves in the window, and that's some of our first 11. You've seen today, there's rumours all over the gossip pages today about players wanting to leave and thinking it's enough. I think we all sort of accept that to some degree, but it's whilst you're in the shirt, you have to play for it, and that's the one thing. That's what caused all my rage on my own social media after Braga. You know, I can accept Forest losing. I've watched it for a long, long time, and I've watched it probably got a win ratio worse than Gary Megson, you know. But I can accept that, and you can accept relegation, and you can accept getting knocked out of competitions. You know what you can't accept is when players aren't trying. especially when you've made the trip to Braga. Look, I never want to throw money into it because I choose to spend my money the way I choose to spend it, and it's not the club's fault or the manager or the owners or whatever. But when so many fans have made a trip out to Portugal, and then it feels like the players aren't playing. That's the big gripe. If they get beat fair and square, whatever team they put on the pitch, even if they put a reserve team out, as long as we felt they were playing, and I just felt cumulatively the reason I'm sort of going back to this about playing is not playing is because I don't think Dyche could get the best out of him. And I felt that from really early on. When I explained my comments after Braga, my rant, my 20-second rant, when I put that to words...
Have you seen Des's run for Braga? If you haven't, go and watch it, man.
But when I put that to words after I'd thought about it, it was basically about those players who I felt... We get labelled entitled and privileged and that. I do feel extremely privileged. I don't feel entitled. I feel privileged to be able to go to Europe and watch the team that performed so well to get there. Unfortunately, this season, some of that team, and particularly the players coming in, who didn't earn that European spot, who didn't earn the right to wear a Forest shirt in Europe, have taken it for granted, and that's what's unacceptable. Unfortunately, towards the end, I think the relationship between Dyche and the players, was fractious at best. And ultimately, it seems like there's been a conversation where they've said we'd probably prefer not to be with him. We don't know what was said there. We've got no idea. But we're hearing about this sort of summit into Marinakis Towers. So I think that I just think it had come to the point where I don't know why the crowd turned so quickly though. There was a point before Christmas where we're doing okay. Everyone said Dyche is up in the top 5 in the Form League. And then it just went really sour and it went really toxic. And I think the biggest thing, and I put something out on Twitter last week when people were moaning about people going to the Wolves game or not. The biggest telling factor for football clubs these days, if the crowd starts dipping below the sellout sort of number, the owners will act. Because if people stop turning up, it costs them financially and it kind of embarrasses them a little as well. So I think that was maybe the telling factor in at the end of the day. And I think we'd have got through to the end of the season with Dyche. I've probably not gone down. I don't think we'll go down now. I know we'll come to that. But I can see why there's been a change. I can see why the anti-Dyche people don't want him. I can see why the Dyche people do want him. So like I said right from the outset.
That's the problem. Like I said, when Dyche was in, and you know what it is, everyone focuses on the defeats, what Dyche did, but no one talks about the wins that he did. And I keep saying it, and now he's gone. I can talk about it. We beat teams like Liverpool away.
I think the problem came, Dore. I think ultimately the problem came when it looked like the goals had dried up.
Yeah.
And we got a cracking result down at Brentford, which gave us a bit of breathing space, and we beat West Ham and that. But West Ham was turgid. We were very lucky against West Ham. We weren't quite as lucky against Brentford, although Brentford battered us in parts. Without creating. We played well as an away team, so to speak, in that game. But other than Brentford, and of course we got a cracking goal by Jesus and a once in a blue moon goal from Tyro. We didn't look like scoring, and whether that was against the big clubs, whether it was in Europe, like towards the end, Braga and Arsenal and Fulham and Everton, all these games where it's really hard to break them down. And I think ultimately people saw what started to swing people who'd been in his favour was the fact that the goals were drying up. And unfortunately, if the goals dry up, we're a bit leaky at the other end at the moment. It's only going to go one way.
Like what Kel just said, some people are never going to be happy with manager. All they've ever focused on is negative, and any chance to complain. And again, that's how I feel about when Dyche was manager. They always think about the negatives and not the positives that he did. We was in the bottom 3 when he turned up, and now yes, we're 17th in the Premier League, And yes, sometimes he wasn't great.
Do you know what? Do you know what it reminded me of a little bit? It was Nuno's first season. Some of that was hard.
Exactly.
He had to sort of scrape us through, and there was that points deduction, and there were three worse teams and the three worse than us at the moment. There were the teams that had come up who went straight back down, and that first season under Nuno was a real struggle. And we only just sort of made it in the end. There was a result we turned around at Luton, weren't there? Which probably made all the difference. And I just think it just reminded me of that. And you come into a situation, it's always going to be tough. But like I said to you, and I know we'll come on to Pereira in a minute, you just got to get behind every manager. In my 20s, when I was a bit even more irrational about all of this, I was calling for Megson and Kinnear and all these people. But I just don't want to do that now, because we always want the next result to be positive. If the next result's 3 points, the manager's not going to get sacked. And we'll all have a moans and a groans and get upset, with what's going on. I have my say, and people might think I'm being contradictory, but I try just to get behind it and hopefully, see through some of the crap, because there is a lot of crap spattered around, isn't there?
Always does, especially on social media, man. But like I said, people, someone that's gone on. Like I said, the animal overflow, positives. Of course, there's always positives. We beat Liverpool 3-0. I mean, that's the best game I've ever seen Forest win. So if that's not positives, what is? So people in the chat, if there's any positive that you've seen in Sean Dyche, please get involved in the comment section as well. Please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and make sure, like I said, people, Des is doing a run. Is it April, Des?
April the 12th.
April the 12th. And if you can, people, the link is at the top of the comments. Just donate towards Des. And like I said, as you know, everyone will know, he does.
And even more reason to donate if you can is I'm actually missing a Forest match.
At last.
Aston Villa at home, and that hopefully that'll be the only one this season. Obviously, I can't predict the future, but it's the only thing that stops me going to the Forest matches when I'm doing a run for charity.
I know, but at least you're doing it for good cause anyway, people. But like I said, people,
it'll kill me not being there, but.
Yeah, like some people, make sure everyone donates to the top of the link. And again, people, for me, hit the like button and subscribe if you're new. Right, people, I've done a poll as well. Is everyone happy with Vitor Pereira, the Nottingham Forest coach? I've done a poll. Are you happy with him? Yes or no? 72 says yes. 28 says no. People in the comments section, I want to know what's the reason. 72% says yes, 28 says no. Please get involved on why you are or not happy with him. And like I said, get Des' opinion about it. Des, new manager's in, fourth manager this season. What's your thoughts on him?
Not much really, and I'll give you some substance to that. I won't just answer in that way. Of course, look, you can look at lots of things, but this is how manager appointments work a lot these days. I do think it's a bit. I don't like the fact we're having 4 in this season. I don't like the fact it's the Wolves guy who got 2 points this season, but it's also the Wolves guy who came in and saved them last season, and then had his whole team ripped from underneath him. Let's hope he don't keep us up and that happens at the end of the season.
Yeah,
because it's quite possible from those rumours we mentioned. But look, I think that the best thing about watching football, and I consider myself a bit of a student of the game, as you know, is the process starts again, doesn't it? We never know what's going to happen next in football. When we expect somebody to be rubbish, they're good, they turn out good. Look at Chris Wood, we didn't have high hopes for Chris Wood. I didn't have particularly high hopes for Cooper or Nuno when they came in. I kind of, a little bit, word I use, I always reel it out when new manager comes, cautiously optimistic. And one or two things sort of make me cautiously optimistic, although there's one or two that make me a little bit wary as well. Obviously, the fact he's worked with Marinakis, we don't just want somebody in there who's just going to take all the crap and deal with it. But I listened to Rob Earnshaw the other day on Sky Sports News. I don't know if you've seen the clip. And,
No, I've
and
not seen it.
wow, I thought, do you know what? I went from being quite sort of, oh God, what we're getting, to being really positive about it. You know, it was really positive about the appointment. And again, it's good. It's good when it's a manager like this who's not been in English football a long time to listen to football people. You know, I know we can make our own mind up as fans, and that's the whole point of these kind of conversations. But also when there's football people saying good things, and it seems like everywhere he's gone, he's got a reaction. You know, and you look at his record. I looked at his sort of CV and his wins and all those things. He gets a reaction, and then ultimately it fizzles out quite quickly.
Every manager's like that. Does that's the thing. Every manager's like that, don't they?
Yeah,
Start good, then fizz out.
he's on an 18-month contract. Do you know? That means it'll be a lot easier and cheaper to get rid of him at the end of the season if they've just had to
Yeah,
dangle
exactly.
a carrot in front of him. Do you know? And we'll see. I think what's really interesting this time, and it was interesting, I put a tweet out to this effect today, and a Fenerbahçe fan replied to me, and I asked him what his thoughts on Pereira were. As it he said he can be very defensive and a lack of goals or something like that is what I translated from the tweet. And I thought, well, we're just jumping out the frying pan into the fire then, aren't we? But again, like I say, it's about the process, isn't it? And I really enjoy when a new manager comes in and you look at the first team, like in the first week compared to 6 weeks down the line, and how they make the mind up, you know. And I always remember when Sven got the England job and he just went off a clean slate, and you ended up with Chris Powell in the squad and Grant
Yeah, Chris
McCann and
Powell.
people like that. And it's interesting when a manager comes in because they all see something, and you might get a surprise sort of call up. I don't know. I'm surmising. I'm not saying it will. You might get a Willy Bolly or something come out the blue, you know, or a McAtee. You know, somebody really sort of. It just happens for them, like Chris Wood under Nuno. Weren't really happening under Cooper, you know, and then Nuno comes in and Chris Wood scores in that first game and he takes it on, and they just hit it off. So I'm interested to see how that develops. But in terms of I'm a pessimistic, optimistic. Again, I'm going to sit on the fence, but purposely so. You know, I'm not shirking the question. I just think you have to judge it on what you see. Too much these days in football is judged on people who don't actually sit and watch it, whether it's in the ground or on the television. You know, too much is done through Twitter. You know, I had a big moan, as we've already alluded to, after Braga about players and this and that, and everyone's telling me Gibbs White's shit and he's this and he's that. No, he missed a penalty. He was still the best player in the game. So you have to make your own mind up by watching football, you know. And he weren't at his best, but he put in a performance. And the problem is, people look too much at, and we're moaning as fans about what the press are saying about Dyche and how they're sticking up for him. But we've all got this perception of Pereira at Wolves, yet we've not seen it up close and personal. You know, so you can't have it always in football. You've got to make your own mind up sometimes. We're asking the press to see it from our point of view. Maybe we could see it from Pereira or Marinakis' point of view in terms of the new manager, you know, and see how it goes. The only one thing that concerns me a little bit was what the Fenerbahçe fans said, you know, in terms of the negative stuff, because I thought if we go down that road again, you know, I think it's only going to get worse before it gets better.
I'm just going to go through the comments on the television. There's a few coming in as well. Shout out to Hood Irish Red. Don't fair play to going to all the games. I mean, like me and Des and people in the comment section will go to all the games as well. Hopefully, you will be delighted at the end of the season and get your reward. I hope we do. That's main thing we want to do. We want to stay in the Premier League and win Europa League. That's what we all want to do. So, thank you for that. A nice comment as well. To go away, similar to Nuno, hopefully the players will take him and style to get the points we need. Definitely, Guy. This legend, hey up, lads! Hey up, lads! As well, Roland Fenerbahçe, see you there. Matthew, I want to see Matthew. Matthew Mitchell.
I can't see because I'm looking on my phone.
Yeah, Matthew Mitchell, you're a legend. Is it Greg's brother? Is it Greg's brother? Hey, Matt, I don't know if you are or not. Matt, see you there. See you in Fenerbahçe. on the coach, on the whatever coaches will be on. So yeah, see you there.
Dore be at the front of the first coach.
Yeah, I've done the first coach. No, the end coach is better. I prefer the end coach.
Exactly. I know you'll be on the first seat of the first coach.
And what? You're just jealous. See what I mean? Because I like to get there. That's all. That's all it is. People just want to. Because I'm not a big drinker like him and Gary Murray and the rest of them.
Listen, excuse me. I've not had a drink for 47 days.
Yeah, you have a drink. You're not. Yes, you have. You like. Why haven't you?
I haven't drank this year. Marathon training Dore.
Oh,
another plug there. Cheeky plug.
People, like I said, I don't drink. I like to get to the ground. Gary Murray was at Amsterdam. He was trying to get me drunk, and that's what it is. I'm not going to go from there. But yeah, people, like I said, my opinion on Pereira, right? Like I said, I spoke to Costa because, like I said, he was Olympiacos coach, and he fell out with Mr. Marinakis because he was talking to Rangers. So that relationship got a bit went left. He's been a manager of, is it the two Brazilian clubs? Is it Flamengo and other teams as well? And like I said, he did well there. Well, like I said, he kept Wolves up last season. Was it 10 wins? I think it was 10 wins. And then everyone knew what he did at the start of the season. 2 points. And then he got sacked. But I would reserve judgment on this one. Because I'm not going to jump the gun on and say, listen, we all want him to do well, but we've got to win games. We've got to win games and prove and say false still. That's what.
Gary, I tell you what. Just a thought that popped into my head. I was thinking about Ange's first game away at Arsenal and Dyche's first game was Porto. Do you know this is a tough place to start, isn't it?
Yeah.
And again, if they do have half an eye on Sunday and Liverpool and the Premier League and all these things, it's a really tough place to go because again, just a few comments to the Fenerbahçe fan. I really, he was saying, he was tongue in cheek saying, "Oh, you guys should rest your players for the league, just to help them." And I said, look, I really don't know which way this tie will go. I think it'll probably go to the team that's most motivated to win it. In reality, they've got some good players, they've got some talent, but it'll boil down to motivation.
Yeah, I've got some good talent. Like I said, they've got Middleton from Man City, Kante. Who else they got? Who else from Fenerbahçe got? Kante. They got.
They got rid of John Duran, haven't they?
You got rid of John Duran. People in the comments, who they got? They got a few good players. Fenerbahçe have. I'll look on Google in a minute. Like I said, what's more important? Right, people in the comment section. What's more important, Des? Thursday or Sunday? Again, people, please do.
I think it's unfair for us to keep having this argument and keep sort of leveling it back to the fans. It's for the club to sort out, you know. Yeah. And again, I go back to that Braga game. Whilst it really is important, I get what all the noises coming out of the club. Nick Randall said it at the Supporters Trust, right? The Premier League survival is the absolute must for the future of the club. But what my problem with this is, why work so hard? Why wait 30 years to go in Europe? Build it up as such a big season. You know, create these memorable occasions that become instantly forgettable if you're not trying and you're not wanting to be part of it. So for me, you know, winning breeds winning. And look, I'm risk of sounding like Sean Dyche. I was brought up. I started watching football under Brian Clough, and he tried to win everything. You know, he wanted to win a game of Ludo, and things like that. He put his best team out in every competition, in friendlies. You know, because he wanted to win, and he had that much respect for it. And I think, I know they have to find a balancing act, and football's different. You know, and you can't play 100 games a season or 60, 70 because of the pace of the game and things like that. But it's not really on us. You know, we go to we go to support a team, whether it's Burton Albion away in a friendly or Fenerbahçe away in Europa League, we want to see them win and score goals. It's as simple as that. So I think, and again, just to touch on, just to go off subject, but there is a point to it. The bit about the toxicity and people not getting behind this and not getting behind the manager. Well, now it's time to draw a line under it all, isn't it? Like, I've had my say, people have had their say, we've all had a say across social media and on platforms like this. Now it's about just getting behind the team. Hopefully the team get behind the manager and they sort of play for the fans. And if that happens, we're all on the same page. And then we get towards the end of the season, and then we look back and whether the manager's been a success or this player needs to be sold or whatever, or as fans we choose to go next season, which obviously we will. But you know what I mean? Everybody's got the chance to reflect then. But now it's a case of drawing the line and just going again. And for me, you've got to try and win every game of football match. Yes, if he has to make one or two changes, to sort of balance it up, it's going to be a tough game on Sunday. The guys have had a rest. Don't forget that. They've had a real rest since last weekend. Well, or last midweek. So they've had over a week off. So they should be prepared going into this one. That's a bit different to the previous games when Dyche had to make changes. So I don't know. Of course, it's the manager's first game, so he might want to put his strongest team out and get a win on the board. Only time will tell, because it's like the Braga game. Everyone said he was justified after the Braga game. They could have easily lost that game, and then would he have been justified? You say, and everyone said he was justified, but then Sean Dyche says, and every manager does, I'm not having a go at Dyche, tells you the next game's the most important game. So you can't have it always again. It's easy to reel out cliches in football. You can't say, "Oh, I was justified." Well, that's funny because this game should be the most important, and the last one should have been the most important before that. So for me, the next game's the most important, and all I ever want to see Forest do is win. Yes, I'd love them to do really well in the competition. It really matters now. I've been saying for a while, this thing's going to, we've had some great experiences in different cities, whilst the football hasn't quite matched up to our expectation. The actual 90 minutes in the stadiums have been impressive, the other fans, but what's happened on the pitch is not done anything for us. Now, I think that flips itself a little bit because it's jeopardy. It's a knockout competition from here on in. So every game, everybody's got to be really up for it if you're serious about winning the competition. And let's not forget, if we play at our maximum capability and we find some form and the new manager gets on a bit of a roll, there's possibly only 2 or 3 teams that can stop us if we're playing at our absolute best. And of course Aston Villa is the one. Everyone's saying Villa have won this by default. And on the face of it, they have at the moment, because they're flying in the Premier League, and they have no other squads match up to them. So if we get on a roll, there's a Champions League spot.
Imagine
at
that.
the end of it.
Imagine that, Des. Getting relegated and getting Champions League football. That'd be mad. People, that'd be mad. Like we're playing Real Madrid on a Tuesday, and then we're playing Stoke City on a Friday. That'd be mad. I love that. I love that.
So to answer your question, right, the next game's the most important.
Right, so let's flip it. And people in the chat as well. Des, what's more important, Europa or Premier League? People in the chat, get involved. What's better, Premier League or Europa?
I think I've just gone a long way about answering that. But the reality is the Premier League is the most important thing over the course of the season. And if you could look back in May and say what's most important, then you go with it. It was the same argument with the FA Cup and the Champions League spot last season. I'd rather win the champion. I'd rather be in the Champions League. I'd rather do this. Look, let's not choose. Let's try to achieve both. Because that's what winners do. That's a winning mentality. Not disregarding one competition for another, or not saying this. Yes, there has to be some pragmatism. There has to be some realism. But winners will try and win everything. That's why Arsenal are in 4 competitions. And they don't change it massively. The team they put out yesterday lose 1 or 2 against Wigan, but they're still putting good sides out because they make sure they go through, and then they'll make all the changes when they're 4-0 up after 20 minutes. But like I say, if you look back on it, we're relegated and we don't win the Europa League, you'll say, well, that was stupid going for the Europa League. But on a match by match, individual case by case basis, the next game's the most important. And when you turn up as a manager, as a player, as a fan, as an owner, surely the most important thing is to see your team win. And for those on the pitch to do the job, the manager to do his best to win. And that's why I was so frustrated after Braga. It wasn't about money, it wasn't about entitlement, it wasn't about privilege, it wasn't about not playing very well. It was about effort, and taking it. Like, even fans do it to ourselves. Fans who went say, "Oh, well, it weren't that important." Well, that's rubbish, isn't it? Because it does cost a lot of money. I'm not talking about my own finances. I'm talking about in general. It costs a lot of money for people to go out there, and for people in
it's
the club
not cheap, people. It's not cheap at all. It's not all.
But for people to say, like people within the club, to disregard that and say, well, it's not that important. Well, that's not on either, is it? We've got to. We've got to try and win everything. So yes, the league is the most important thing if you're pushing me for an answer. But again, I want to see us perform in this competition, even if we have a couple of rounds, because like I say, I think Fenerbahçe is 50-50. I think anything worse than a 1-0 coming away from there, 1-0 defeat, and we're out probably. But if we bring anything back, we've got a good chance of going through. But again, it still won't be easy. And I think a couple of rounds of this competition might just be the fillet to spark them into action and to get some feel good back, and we know what it's like. The big games when they come towards the end of the season, whether it's Burnley at home or other games, even Liverpool, even whoever we've got to play at home still. I can't think. Fulham is another winnable one. If we've got the crowd back on side, Forest and Magic and all that, for the last 10-15 minutes, that's so important in getting the team over the line sometimes, as we've seen in that Arsenal game a couple of years ago. So I just think now it's a clean slate, and we just look to build, not look to do this stop-start sort of, let's give it a go here, let's have a rest here, let's give it a go. It's got to be, let's just go for it all the way. Premier League survival, win the competition, whatever it takes.
I was just seeing the Fenerbahçe team. They have got some good players like Conte, Matteo Gonzalo, the ex-Arsenal player.
They've got that guy from Villa as well, haven't they? He was on loan last year, Asensio.
Yeah, that's what you said, Marco Asensio. He's there as well. Who else there? Nelson
They love
Semedo.
him as well. That I saw someone on their Twitter feed that they're saying, like, what was life before him?
They've got Marco Asensio. They've got Nelson Semedo. He used to play for Wolves. He's the right back. Fred. Got Fred as well. And they got the player.
Yeah, but he was always crap.
He wasn't that crap. I always like
Fred the Red. The thing is, with all that, they're good players. But again, like I said to you before, what you have to remember, these players are probably just about past their best. That's why they're at Fenerbahçe and not Real Madrid and Aston Villa and Man United. And again, it comes down to motivation. It'll be who's more motivated to win the tie. We've got some quality. We've got better players than them. I'd rather have our team than theirs because we've got a more rounded team. But it'll be dangerous if we're not 100% invested in the game.
100%. People, if you can do a massive favor for me, there's 51 people in. Make sure, please do hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Like I said, people, Des is doing it, is running in April. If you can just click on the link and put a little change towards Des. Like I said, he's doing the Paris run in April. So if you can, just click on the link and make sure you just donate towards. As you know, Des, I think this is our 5th trip in it. Is it a fifth away European trip? I'm excited, man. Like I said, I'm loving it. Like I said, when people say what you prefer, Premier League or Europa, like I said, Des was mentioned. I love going on these European tours. It's costing a lot, but it's worth it. And people in the chat as well, are you going to Turkey? Because I think it's Des's first time going to Turkey. I've been to Turkey a lot of time, and they do make the food's amazing. The people are nice. I can talk a little bit of Turkish, So if you want any advice, please do.
I doubt that. I'm doubting that.
No, because I can't. I know a few words. Mahaba, everyone. See if you can say mahaba, that means hello. Goof frabber, things bye. I think it is means
God,
bye.
you know more Turkish than English.
Yes. That's it. See, I know. I'm Turkish. The Turkish people love me, man. Danny, look forward to the trip.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know, I think a lot of people are negative about it, and when I was watching the draw, because obviously I wanted something a bit closer to home, mainly because of annual leave and finances.
Exactly.
But at one point it looked like we might get Celtic or Lille, and that would have been the dream scenario. And when it was Panathinaikos or Fenerbahçe, it was like, oh my God, where are they sending us? Do you know? And I understand why people are a bit negative and nervous at these places. I was when I first thought, and when we hear the things about Villa, do you know. But to be honest, I watched that DoreOntour's vlog on it. You know,
Yeah.
I think you shared it in one of the groups we're in, and look, it looks very organised. It's not going to be pleasant waiting in the ground for so long and waiting after. But at the end of the day, if you want to go to a football match, do what you're told. You know,
Exactly.
stick by the rules. And I don't want to go. And I had a look into Turkey. I watched some videos as I did before I went to Porto. You know, we're not there long, 48 hours. But I had a look at some of the videos, and it looks an amazing place. You know, it's a big city. Looking forward to watching European football in Asia, which is a bizarre thing. But of course, when we cross the bridge into Fenerbahçe itself, you know, that's on the Asian side of Istanbul. So I've never been to Asia, so that's going to be a first. Looking forward to the kebabs. Not the other part of the song. I've never done that in my life.
Do you know what this means?
The Turkish fans was asking me what that meant.
Do you know what this means? Says Kagamaza. Do you know what it means?
I thought you could speak Turkish.
I can't. Says Kagamaza. You know what I mean? You Reds. No. See? Justin knows. See, Justin, this is how we connect, Justin, because we know a few Turkish words. But like I said, people, I'm excited for. Like I said, it's my 5th European trip. Seeing Forest.
It should be. Do you know what I like? And you know I do, because you see my social media. I love somewhere you can take 1 million pictures of. And Turkey looked. Istanbul looked. I'm going to Instagram it to.
Exactly. People, it's amazing. People in the chat, has anyone been to Turkey before? But like I said, it's amazing. They do lira as well, and it is if people like buying clothes and all that, that's the place to go to. But yeah, I can't wait to it. And like I said, it's another memory. Like I said, myself, Des, and all Forest fans who are going to Istanbul. It's going to be an amazing trip, and I'm looking forward to it.
And what I said there, though, sorry to interrupt you before you finish that point, but what I said there now about the clean slate and getting behind the team and getting behind Pereira and the players and really getting excited about these competitions, we don't know when the last one is now. This could be the last one ever, you know? And
exactly.
So look how long ago it was last time. It was 30 years.
30 years.
You know, it could be that. It could be 10 years, it could be 1 year, it could be 10 years, it could be 50 years. Exactly. You know, so watching a team and the experiences we've had in the first 4, you know, you've actually got to go and make the most of them now if you go in, and if you get the chance to go and you want to go, get out there, because watching Forest, even when they're rubbish, you know, is an experience in Europe. And now you don't know when the next one's coming.
This is from Scott. How you doing, Scott? Do you think Mamlakis is paying for bus journey to the ground? There's a bit of a positive. Nah, not that, Scott. I think he would have done it anyway if he was winning or losing. I think he would have done it anyway. So, there's a comment. £5 to mute Des. Scott, Des, he's all right. He's been sarcastic. Scott, I know Scott. Do you know who Scott is?
I can't see the thing because I'm on the
phone. Basically, Scott, when my daughter, his daughter, his name's Naya. My daughter's name's Naya. And we met, the ball in the same, not because both in the same incubator. So that's how I met Scott. And I'm thinking, that's why.
So you copied his daughter.
No. He copied Scott. Scott copied me because we had this sign called Naya, and he had, and my ex-partner, we seen Naya as well. Went, hey, why is someone got the same name as my daughter? So shout out to Scott and his missus, man. Shout out to her as well. £5. Go on, Scott. Donate, Scott. Donate £10 for Des. Right, people. If you, as you know, me and Des are going. If you want less talking of Des, donate. And donate to Des's Parish Trip as well. Is it? So, like I said, donate to my channel and donate to Des's run as well. And if we go to talk to Des before we go, because like I said, there's I'm just excited, man. Like I said, it's question, right? And everyone as well. We got how many games we got left? Is it 13 games left? How many points do you think we need to stay in the Premier League? I think that was Gary's question. How many points do you think we'll need?
What have we got now? 20.
We've got
27.
I think it is 27.
I
think it was.
We've
27. Yeah, 27 points. Yeah.
Do you know it's going to be an anomaly, isn't it? And it's going to be particularly high compared to what it's been over the last few seasons. We're probably going to be looking about 40, aren't we? To be sure, the old-fashioned 40-point marker. Do you know? And it all depends on West Ham, doesn't it? Because West Ham have had a bit of a purple patch. You know, since we played them and we were 7 points behind. There was that point the other day when there was on level points till Sesko scored right at the end. So it's whether they go again. You know, they've got some tough fixtures. They've got Bournemouth next, I think, which is winnable in the current state. But then they've got some really tough ones, and it's what we pick up. You know, so I'd imagine if we can get to 40, I'd imagine we'll be about safe. And the big thing is, you know, it's actually we need those points sooner rather than later to pull those teams in it like Spurs, you know, and Palace. Really pull them in, because then it doesn't matter just what West Ham are doing. Because Spurs are in a fighting position for them. You know, I still think they're probably too good, and even though we know we can't say that because we think we're too good. They probably are, but you look, they've got Arsenal next. You know, they're shocking. When we played them, this is why I couldn't get too carried away.
I don't make the manager. Tudor.
We don't know. They'll be saying the same about us, though, won't they? We don't know too much.
No. The reason I say that, Dad, the reason I say that, because with our manager, he knows the Premier League, and Igor Tudor doesn't. That's what I'm just assuming.
No, and I get that. You know, I totally agree. But again, you don't know what's going to happen.
I know.
You know, he might go in there and get some out of them. It seems a risk. But then, if we're being really honest, you know, despite the fact I'll defend the owner to some degree and understand the sacking, are we taking a risk? Probably. You know, different kind of risk. Probably, but that's what the owner's decided. He's decided to twist, hasn't he? The one thing that was sure was on Wednesday night. I probably spent about 60 minutes looking at the owner, to be honest, from where I sit in the Bridgeford stand, and it was happening. You know, I alluded to it on my post-match reaction. I alluded to the fact that I can see him going. I didn't say it because I didn't know, but the owner's arms. It was just like the Chelsea game all over again. His arms. He didn't look happy when DoreOntour come on. You know, I don't know if he wanted Jesus to come on.
I think I wasn't happy at the time when, you know, we saw players like Ola Aina, Milekovic shooting from long range. That's what I think. That was when, okay, now we're just desperate, and the DoreOntour bicycle kick got to me a little bit.
Well, do you know what that shouts out to me is that they weren't trusting the forward players. You know, there were players taking unnecessary risk. Milenkovic, I know. You know, yes, it seems silly, but it's desperation. I don't think they do it with a conscious thought. Having played football and been in those kind of desperate situations, it's almost when they're not. It's subconsciously when they're not trusting anyone else to do it for them. Nico Williams had 7 shots.
I know. I think it needed the most left back person to have shots in the Premier League. I heard. Bloody hell, that's mad.
Probably, but then when you have that many chances, they are going to be spread around. And like I say, it's probably a lack of trust. And that thing about overplaying again, remember when we played Everton? So sometimes managers can't win, and because we're moaning about players having shots from long range, but Everton, they kept throwing the ball in. They kept throwing the ball in, and everyone's moaning about 52 crosses. So what did they want them to do? Keep crossing it to nobody, And so sometimes they can't win it. But it's about understanding the football match, and ultimately it was I'd imagined, having played football and played as a fullback and a defensive midfielder, that you tend to do that when there's not much faith in what's in front of you. Without too much thought, you don't go, "Oh, I'm not passing to him," or "I'm not passing to him." But again, you look at the striker on the day. Didn't have a great day, did he, Luca?
No.
Really disappointing performance. He got his goal against Leeds in that situation, but sometimes it's different when you're starting from the beginning. And again, this is what the new manager's got to find out. So again, he's got to go in there, and he seems like a nice chap. That doesn't make a good football manager, and it doesn't mean he's going to be a success. But he's got to go in there and calm a few nerves, level a few people's heads, and get them just remembering that they are actually really good footballers. And I think Nuno did that to some degree. On the face of it, first season he looked quite hard and sort of stern, but in the dressing room, it seemed like he had his arm around them, and there was all having that banter and all that built up. We need that kind of thing to be building up again. It's that sort of momentum shift from what were there before.
People, like I said, before we do go, please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. And again, people, as you know, Des is doing the run in April. So if you can, people, the link is top of the comment section. Just click the link and just support Des on his run in Paris in April. Like I said, people, me and Des are going. Like I said, we're going Thursday morning to Istanbul. So, like I said, people, if you want to follow Des, he does his before and after reactions. So again, people follow Des. I'll be doing my usual vlog, African reaction, and I'm looking forward to this one. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great trip. Like I said, I know a little bit of Turkish, so I might say some Turkish words. Throw some Turkish words out there, just wind Des up. I might just say some Turkish words to wind Des up, so he doesn't know what I'm saying. So yeah, people. And like I said, it's our fifth trip. And like I said, I'm loving every single bit of it. I know we've got a fourth manager in one season, but I'm looking forward to it so much. Right.
Just before we go, though, honestly, right, I've said it a few times, we've really just got to get behind it now. Just bloody enjoy it. Football's like that. You want to win everything until you're that bad. You just want to get out of situations.
Yeah.
And now we've just got to all get behind it, and stop some of these sort of crap that's going off on social media, and just get behind the team.
It's hard to.
It works both ways. It works both ways.
It works. Like I said, it works both ways, Des. And then, like I said, if people want us, like if we win, and people want to say negative things, okay, it is what it is. But if we lose, and then it's more pile onto. Des, before we do go, and as well, people in the comment section as well. If we do get relegated, do you think it's on Marinakis? Like I said, let me just put in context. I love Marinakis for what he's done for the club. If it wasn't for him, you won't see me and Des or all the Forest fans on the European tour. So if it wasn't for him, I love Marinakis. But if we get relegated, do you think it's on him?
Oh, that's a big question to throw me at the end, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look, I've said it many times, right? And people have shot me to flames because, like the media say, Forest fans can't have anything bad said against Marinakis. I'm the same as you. I love him for what he's given us. I love the European football. I love last season in particular, the FA Cup run. Brighton goes down, I've told you loads of times, is one of my favourite ever away days when we beat Brighton, and it seemed to go on till about midnight. that was right up there. Beating Liverpool twice, all these things. I can't fault him. Can't fault some of the stuff he does in the community. Can't fault the signings. Players playing for Forest. But ultimately, in any organisation, if you fail, the head of the organisation is at fault. I manage staff in the NHS. If they don't do what they're supposed to, I get a bollocking. It's as simple as that. I'm not as high up as that, obviously, but ultimately, to some degree, if Forest get relegated, it has to be. We can't accept his decisions and then accept that he's not part of the problem, because ultimately he calls the shots. I'm, like I said to you before, feel forever grateful for what has happened, feel privileged to be on this journey, but everybody looks back and goes, situations could have been different. To some degree, I've understood the sackings. Nuno done himself out of a job, and it just wasn't happening. It had to change. The only one that's questionable is Dyche. But then again, you look at the crowd, you look at the noise in the stadium, you look at the dwindling attendances and the failure to sell tickets and things like that. And something probably does have to change. So to some degree, yes, because he's the spearhead of the operation. On the other hand, this is football. It's tough. It's tough at the top. And the Premier League is never going to be easy. I've sat here watching people who are far more liked or listened to than I am tell us that Forest are going to be a massive club, and they believe in fairy tales and they get traction from it, and that would never get relegated and we're getting the Champions League and all these things. And then when I've tried to be pragmatic, I've been shot to flames and abused and all sorts of things. That's fine. But that's the realism of football, because the Premier League is really, really tough. So to some degree, yes, it would be Marinakis' fault. But again, let's just remember, last season was a bit of an outlier over the last 35 years. It took us that long to sort of get back to that position. 35 years to get back into that top end of the Premier League. So it's not as if he's failed, because he took us a long way. It's catching up with us a little bit. One or two decisions could have been different. I've got more of a problem with some of the signings than I have with the managers. And that's essentially where, in my mind, the blame lies. So yes, I don't wish for a different owner. I know he's done an amazing job. But then ultimately, as a owner, CEO, chairman, whichever way you look at it, then you're there to take the responsibility.
100%. Right, it's time to go. Me and Des, like I said, we're going to Turkey on Wednesday. Like to make sure everyone follows Des on X and Instagram, and he'll be taking, like I said, loads of pictures as always. Make sure, like I said, people, make sure you follow. Donate to Des's run in Paris in April if you can. Like I said, he's doing. What is it for, Des?
Prostate Cancer UK.
Okay, Prostate Cancer UK. But yeah, let's say go for them. Make sure you follow me, people. Like I said, if you are new to a channel, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do hit the subscribe button. I think you can hype my video as well, whatever that is. And like I said, hit the like button as well. Watch all for the content as well. I'm doing the vlog, the Afghan reaction. I was thinking I could do a video of live stream in Turkey, but should I do that? I don't know. You know what?
I'll have him doing a live stream in Turkey. I said he should have been.
Yes, I think should we do a live stream in the ground? Because before, if you don't know, we have to be in the ground 4 hours.
Don't forget, you got to preserve your battery.
Oh yes. Oh, for frick's sake. That's a no-go then. That's definitely a no-go. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that at all. Right, people.
Turkish coffee.
You're not getting enough coffee, me, Dad. You're not getting enough coffee, me. Right, people. If you can, do a massive favor for me. Please hit the like button, subscribe if you know. Me and Des, we're off to Istanbul. I don't know the song, but I'm not going to sing it. Peace and love, up the forest.
Get me a kebab.